bad guy. Duh.
Hey family, welcome back to another episode of Big Girl Certified podcast. I'm your girl B, or you can call me Blythe, whichever way you prefer. Again, we are welcoming back to another season, another cycle. If you haven't catched our most recent episode, the catch-up episode here, it is linked somewhere down below. And that is the introduction back to me, myself, and I. We are regrouping, definitely embracing the expectations and the excitement that surrounds a new decade, another turn around the sun. So in that episode, we did touch base on embracing that and what comes with it, and especially when you've turned the corner and entered your 30s. So now we're going to rewire back into, I call this episode New Levels, New Devils, right? And I guess I can kind of say, to my own personal experience, each and every level that you reach, like, I guess in the previous episode I was kind of explaining how I had this mental block surrounding getting into embracing another decade of life. But once you get past that, it's like, okay, like I'm reaching out, I actually am accomplishing certain goals that I set for myself. I actually am surprisingly, succeeding at whatever plans, little plans you might have set for yourself. And when that happens, it doesn't matter what kind of environment. It can be in the workplace. I mean, it can be within the family environment. It can be in friendships, relationships, whatever it is. There's always something else, something new, something else that will test you or try you, right? And I guess I kind of want to come back on this episode here and elaborate on that a bit more. I really could go into more depth about how it happens in the workplace, but I think I'm going to save that for a whole nother episode itself, because I have some horror stories definitely to share as it pertains to that. But I'm not going to linger on that one too much. It's more so what I think about when it comes to relationships with people that you might have just met recently, or childhood friends, relationships with a significant other, a spouse. It's always that underlying, like, is this person really in my corner? Are they really rooting for me the same way I'm rooting for them? And you can kind of see that play out in different ways, right? So when I look back on different friendships that I might have tried to carry for longer than, like, I don't even know, 5 years, 7 years, whatever, it always came around to, maybe I'm oversharing. Maybe I'm saying a bit too much about where I want my life to go. And maybe it was to, like, the wrong people. I felt like, okay, if you got this title of bestie, I should be able to tell my bestie everything, right? Like, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, like, what makes me upset, what, like, it inspires me, what excites me, all areas of encompassing who I am and who I want to be. And, when I'm working towards reaching my higher self, I felt like those are things you should be able to share with those as closest to you. It's not always the case. It's not always the case. No, you really have to learn how to read people. And I'm not saying this in a way where I can say every single person in my life I've experienced this with. Is only certain types of people. And it must be like a certain type of energy, I'll say. A certain type of energy where people can put on a forward face that they're excited for you. They're fully supportive in what your goals are, even if it sounds totally insane to them. Like, why is she trying to do that? Like, like, why is she even trying to push that hard? She should just be okay with, like, her 9-to-5 job and whatever else, whatever it is right now. Like, you should be happy with. And I was happy with where I was always at each stage. It's just like I always knew I was destined for more. I always knew I was destined for bigger, and I never wanted to settle. Still don't. So I think that when you are that voice of reason all the time, when you're always that voice in someone else's ear, maybe pointing out the things that you're unhappy with in your own personal life, constantly being that reminder to someone else, whether you call them bestie or boyfriend or girlfriend, whoever it is, could be mom, dad, sister, cousin, best friend, whoever it is, that you're constantly around, it starts to internalize it within themselves and makes themselves actually question their own life, right? So it's just like a ricochet effect. Whoever you surround yourself around, I've heard that quote many a times, whoever you surround yourself around is like who you're going to start to mirror, who you're going to start to want to, be most like, because I mean, that's just essentially the way of life. You want to have people in your circle that inspire you. You want to have people around you that are going to push you even further than what you thought possible. So I was explaining the importance of having people around you who are already doing what you aspire to be doing or are on their way, have the same similar mindset towards aiming towards the same goal, same direction, because it really does push you even further towards getting you there, getting you to your ultimate goal. Um, and I mean, those plans may change over time, but it's important to maintain that same kind of um, drive, that same kind of ambition. So, the problem with having people around that have been with you 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I've noticed they definitely don't always pan out to end up going towards the same path. What you want may differ from what I want, and if our paths eventually do not no longer align, um, then so be it. I've never been one of those people who has had an issue with walking away, right? And I'm prone to always leaning into having honest conversations about it. So it just baffles me when you get to a certain point in a relationship or friendship, whatever it is, and one party can't vocalize that. One party can't sit down and have the honest say so of, oh, I don't like it here anymore, or oh, I don't think that what you want is aligning with what I want, and I think that we should separate. I don't understand, or I've never really understood the opposite side of that. Again, maybe me thinking maybe it's just Pisces brain. Um, we definitely always have to tell the truth. I don't know what kind of lives people are out here living, but my life has always teetered on the side of if I don't tell the truth, if I'm trying to tell a lie, there's always a consequence. There's always some type of repercussion, whether that be from the gods, the universe, whoever is looking down on me, my angels, my ancestors. They don't let me get away with it. So if I'm sitting up here telling a lie, knowing dang gone well, trying to live a lie, whatever it is going to come back on me quite quickly. In fact, it happens usually pretty fast. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that. It definitely is something that I've seen time and time again. And it helps me be held accountable for my actions. It helps me be accountable for the way that I show up in my life and the lives of others around me. So if it ever gets to a certain situation with a friend, like I said, a relationship, family member, whoever it is, and I've given you time and time again to come up and say your piece, be honest about what you really feel, um, then I'm just going to get irritated and have to walk away from the situation, especially if I'm the one always having to poke and prod the information, and always be forthcoming with the way I feel, and it's not being reciprocated. Like, I'll say certain emotions may arise, like in those difficult conversations. I know a lot of people try to avoid conflict. When you're at a certain age, it's uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable. Conflict can be uncomfortable. But what I realized over my time in my life, my 33 years young, it's important. It's vital to have those difficult conversations, because then it just leads you to another level. Like I said, it levels you up. You know, we're like Goku over here. We leveling up. We amping up. We're going to that next higher level. So essentially, I'm referencing ascension, right? The same way that Goku can't defeat certain enemies, he can't do anything as it relates to his divine purpose in this life without leveling up. To defeat those certain enemies, he must go Super Saiyan. That's the only way to achieve your end goal, is to beat the enemy, right? So it's super important that we all realize how vital it is to stay true to self, um, and embrace that. Because again, you won't be able to reach or achieve that higher level, what we essentially call higher self. We won't be able to reach that without embracing these level up moments, these little, each individually divine timed moment, which is meant to say, hey, what kind of decision are you going to make? Are you going to stand up for what you believe in, or are you going to kowtow down and not say anything, which is weak? of. There's no way around it. So I definitely have had certain situations, even most recently, having to let go of certain friendships that I've held near and dear to me. But when it comes down to a certain fact of one party is always pointing the finger at the other, and we're not able to be honest about, well, what transpired, like, it cracks me up when people want to retell a story, right? They'll want to retell a story the way that they see fit to retell it, is what I notice. Like, oh, you know, this and this happened this way, and like you were the villain in the story and it's all your fault, and blah blah blah, just like all this, right? Like you in the situation, and never taking the accountability for what I did. People never want to say what they did in the situation to make it end up that way. So I honestly just came to a certain point with realizing there's no communicating with someone who likes to always rewrite the story. Like, the people that have enjoyed like retelling stories and rewriting them in their favor, they'll never forget what you did. They'll never forget what part you played in their life. Um, They just like to retell it to others that will always put them in the limelight, so that they don't have to take any flack from, those around them that are closest, that would actually tell them to their face, hey, you were an a-hole. You did this. This is your part in it too. You played a part. I honestly think a lot of life's traumas and life's difficult situations are what lead people to act that way. They cater to always wanting to be the victim in the story. So I've just had to learn to be okay with being the villain in that person's story. I'm okay with it. In fact, I'd revel in it at this point. I fully welcome it, open arms. If you want to make me the villain in your story, that's fine with me. Because as long as it gets us to a certain point where we're both being honest and we both can walk away from the situation and separate as it should be, as it properly should be, I'm fine with that. Um, because it's never going to come to a certain point where you're ever going to be able to sway me. Um, I don't feel that the amount of craziness or however wild and crazy, the conversation can become because of your anger and your denial to admit your anger or your emotions. If you're unable to correctly explain to me why you're feeling a certain emotion and what it's coming from, you're just acting wild and crazy and creating all this ruckus, like it's not going to affect me. I'm one of those people, like, if you want to make a whole lot of noise and a lot of rah rah about it and not have a civil adult conversation, um, and honestly, you can make all the noise. It's not going to hurt me. Like creating petty drama involving others doesn't bother me. None of that ever will faze me, honestly, because I've been through a lot of shit in my life, right? Um, Especially when you come to realize, like, just humbling yourself and covering all different ways that the scenario could have gone before it already gets to that end point. Like, the chaos and your extra drama, it'll never compare to the stuff that I've already endured. So, like, I'm going to do what I choose to do as best, and I'm going to live my life and be happy. And I'm going to show people by example what it's like to take the bull by the horns and just start living the life that I know I deserve. So, it really boils down to your comfortability and being able to speak your truth and know your truth. And like I said, new levels, new devils, right? That's going to come at you at deeper points, deeper pressure points in life. Like I can call it that, because it may just end up being like a coworker at work one day, or it may be a complete like stranger if you have clients that you deal with. Or it could even go as far as being, like I said, your sister or someone that you consider to be a sister, a best friend. Um, each time it's going to go deeper and deeper, and you're going to need to know how to sit with self and be honest with self first before you can go and be honest with others. Um, so, yes, I definitely feel like there's more I can put onto the cherry on top of this Sunday with that conversation. But again, when it comes to like the co working space, I want to save that for its whole different episode. I have some serious horror stories, y'all. And I'm not even going to sit up here and fake the funk. Like, yeah, I'll put on the accountability for myself when I retell those stories. But man, it's just crazy to think about everything that you've been through, everything that you go through in life. It's for a specific purpose. And as you keep striving and keep, pushing towards each level, like I said, each goal post that you want to meet for yourself, it's always going to be something to try and, knock you down, try to push you off of whatever pathway you're going down. So you just have to be strong for you. You have to learn how to keep your voice heard, keep what you have to say at the forefront, because like I said, all the rest of that noise, all the rest of that drama, chaos, whatever else is going on around you, it doesn't matter if it's not serving what your end goal is, what your purpose is. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like I've said all I needed to say about that for now. I definitely enjoy these quick little talks here. Again, trying to keep the episodes under 20 minutes. If you guys want me to start to expand and make the episodes longer, or if you like shorter episodes, just give me a comment down below. Feedback is always welcome. I definitely want to make this a space that's comfortable for all, whether that's you listening to this on your way to work, or if you're just listening to this washing the dishes at home while the kids take a nap. Um, Whatever it is on your lunch break from work, I want you all to be able to just take a minute for yourselves and think about and reflect, what areas of your life are, you allowing these so-called devils, to distract you from what you want for yourself, for you to reach whatever goals you put in place for yourself. Um, it could be something as little as, oh, you want to go on a diet, but your spouse wants you to always go out and eat, or always wants you to always go out and pay for, whatever it is kind of meal, when you have food at home. There's food at home. Why are we going out? Why am I wasting my money to, treat you when there's no point? I don't want to. Nah. Cut that out. Or, little things like if you have a little sibling and they always want you to come hang out with them, but you want to go and, I don't know, read a freaking book, something, go to the beach, be by yourself. That's okay. Like, that's okay to communicate what you want, where your head's at, and just take peace with oneself to know, um, that you're doing what's best for you. So I'm going to stop rambling on at this point. It's just every time I get to this certain place, like, I know I have to just speak what I feel, get it off my chest. It does feel like a whole weight's been lifted off my shoulders at this point. Because, there are rewards that come with it, believe it or not. The same way that I said I experienced, like, um, repercussions from not telling the truth in my lifetime, well, I definitely also see the opposite side of that. When I do what's right for me, when I do what my angels, ancestors, God, higher spirit, when I do as they call me to do, I'm rewarded. And it's exponentially, right? It doesn't take much time. I am always favored. I'm always blessed as long as I'm operating in my highest self. So don't worry. I'm going to always speak my truth. I'm going to speak my peace. And whoever doesn't like it, I want to take that up with God. So, anyways, I love you guys deeply. Thank you for spending this time with me. I will be back next week with another episode, and hopefully, again, I'll have all the technical little bugs worked out for you. So you guys know you can always catch this podcast on every single platform there is. Spotify podcast has definitely blessed me with the opportunity to spread my news across all platforms. So check us out: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I try to post on TikTok when I can. It's not under the Big Girl Certified name. It's just under Vazi Copine Collection, which is my hair, my wig little business that I love on the side. Y'all, I be making these wigs. So yes, check me out, catch up with me wherever you can, and I'll be back next week. All right, peace and blessings, y'all. Love you, family. Bye.